On this podcast, we're going to be talking to all different kinds of people that are all on their own journey and they've all got their own story to tell. We're going to go beneath the surface. My name's Paul Schweiler and I hope you enjoy. All right, Jess, we're on.
Yay.
Thanks for joining.
Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate you coming out.
I know, it was a hike.
All the way from Frankston.
I know.
I appreciate you coming out.
South?
Frankston South.
Yeah, you got to have the South.
I'm not familiar with that area, working in real estate, but it's not my bread and butter out there. Do you like it out there?
It's so nice.
Do you get to the beach a fair bit when you're out that way?
You know what? Not so much.
Not as much as people would think.
No, it's weird. When you kind of live near it, you just like used to it.
Yeah, true.
But it's a lovely area.
That's good. Well, yeah, thanks for joining the podcast. So obviously we've got your lovely Jade over there as well.
Yes, lovely Jade.
And you've got your own podcast.
We do.
Quickly before we talk about you, tell us about your podcast.
Yeah, so
plug it.
Our podcast is called Talk Spirit to Me.
Right.
So it's basically me trying to channel for people while Jade is being chaotic.
And I've seen some of it. I saw some of that about a minute ago and it gave me a good laugh.
Yes.
So keep that up. I love that.
I know.
That's
we love
really
it.
good.
It's literally just our dynamic and talking random mediumship. So it's fun.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk a little bit of random mediumship today as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be a really fascinating chat. I've been looking forward to this one and I've thought of about 1 billion questions and I don't know how I'm going to try and pull them into a timely manner. But I know there's a lot of people I've spoken to that know we're doing this chat today and they're like, oh, ask her about this. And so it's going to be a bit of fun. But yeah, what a fascinating gift, I guess, that you've got. And we're going to delve into that a little bit. But a couple of questions I've got straight off the bat is, and because I don't know, so I'm going to ask things that I'm not aware of. And that's some of the key differences between psychics and mediumship and all that sort of stuff. I don't really actually know the difference. So explain it to me.
Yeah, okay. So I call myself a psychic medium.
Yep.
So psychics are, I guess, people that can connect with your energy. And so they'll blend their energy with yours and pick up on things about what's going to happen with you and your future and what's going on right now in your life. And I guess the difference is mediums connect with your loved ones on the other side.
Yep.
So I kind of do a bit of both. So what I'll do is I'll start with my mediumship. So I'll always bring a spirit forward, whether or not you've had anyone significant that's passed or not. I always like to bring someone in, and sometimes they might be from your family line, so they may be someone that you didn't even meet here in the physical world, but they're just sort of around you. Then they want to give you the guidance on that particular day. And then I'll sort of tap into the messages they have for you. And as I'm blending with your energy anyway, sometimes I pick up on things that are going to happen for you or give you advice about what's going on. It's really fascinating.
That's really wild. What happens if, what if you can't? Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you just can't pick up on anything, and had this really awkward moment where maybe my gift is just gone? No,
they always show up. Without a doubt. I used to be so fucking scared that I was going to read for someone and it'd be crickets. And
so that's never happened?
It's never happened. And even if the person, there's been a couple of people that I haven't been able to read for, right? And this is something that people don't talk about, but I like to, because not every medium is going to be for you. So we might not blend well. Your spirits might not like me. It's kind of like being here. It's a thing. It's like, being here and as humans, we don't like everyone. Yeah. So sometimes they might look at me and go, fuck no. And then there's nothing I can do about that. So I can only pick up on what they're willing to give me at the time. Yeah. And so, like I said, I've done hundreds of readings and it's probably happened once or twice. And actually, one time it was a lady that we just weren't fitting on the day. And so we're like, we might just try again in a week. And then it worked. So it was really strange.
Yeah, that's odd.
So it might be the day.
Yep.
I don't know.
That's
weird. Yeah, spirit always show up.
That's weird. Before we talk more about this, which I'm really looking forward to, let's just go back a bit and tell me about your childhood and stuff, and maybe when this come on and when you realised that you had this gift. How young were you when you realised that maybe I've got something that other people don't?
Yeah.
Lead me to that moment.
Yeah, so probably around when I was 12 or 13. It was around the time that my nana passed away. So I was like, oh, you know, I really want to connect with her. And I started kind of getting into this.
But how did you know to think that I want to connect with her? Because you'd seen other mediums?
Yeah.
So you knew it was...
Actually, no, at that time I hadn't. I was more just fascinated with like if there was something else like out there. And I was fascinated with meditation, and like as I was like going through high school, I started getting more and more into that. And I started doing like meditation classes and trying to like connect and like ground and all that stuff. And it wasn't really until maybe I hit like 18 or so that I started like... It's really strange. Like my nana was cremated, and so she was in like a wooden kind of urn, you would say. And then I started like when I would miss her, I would just sit there and I would just like, obviously she's got her name on it, and I used to just like trace like the name with my finger, and all of a sudden all this like wooden scent would come out every time that I did that, like overpowering the whole room.
Wow.
And I was like, what is this? This is so weird. And so then I was addicted to that. I was like, oh my God, like every time I do this, this happens. This is weird. And then I started smelling that same wood like randomly throughout the house, randomly when I wasn't even near like her urn. And then it escalated, and then I started smelling it when I wasn't even near it. So I would be like outside. So
you like that was her way to let you know that she was there?
Yes. And so that's how this all sort of began, because I'm like, how am I smelling this? And I'm like in the supermarket. Like this is just
that's
bizarre.
Weird. But like as a 12-year-old girl, there wouldn't be, I'm guessing there's probably not many 12-year-old girls that think about doing meditation and and thinking at that level.
Yeah.
Do you reckon that was a way to start to train yourself to allow yourself to get into that role?
Yeah, I think so. And because the reason why I was so open to it is because my family are a little bit hippie, a little bit off their chops. So my mum was always talking about like spirits and how she thinks she was an Egyptian and all this shit. Like it was my
Your mum thinks she's
hectic.
An Egyptian?
Yeah, she's fucked. She did some weird shit.
Does she still think she's an Egyptian?
I reckon she does.
Shout out to mum. Shout out to mum.
It's a lot. So I was always sort of open to all that kind of stuff anyway, because it was always just spoken about. Like they talk about that they're like spiritually connected, and so it wasn't foreign to me. Like it sounds weird if you're like, you know, a 12-year-old's just getting into this like on their own. Like I kind of was, the door was open in a way because of what I'd been brought up like. So yeah.
So 12, you started to obviously get an understanding of what it is and what you wanted to do, and potentially connect with your grandmother. And then you got to 18. What stage did you get to before you realized that this, like it was almost like a moment of this isn't normal? Did it scare you? Did you automatically feel like I've got the most amazing gift in the world? When did it start to become a proper thing? Yeah, so for years, I was just addicted to seeing psychic mediums. Like I would just, whoever was available, whenever, I'd go to all those, you know, those mind, body, spirit festival things and like line up and see who I was like connected to. And like, I was just addicted. Do you have like, sorry to jump in there, but like, do you have like is there like mentors / coaches in that?
Yeah.
There is?
Yeah, that's what I did. Yeah.
So you saw like a mentor or a coach in mediumship?
Yep, that's what I did. Right. Yeah, and that was like maybe 4 years ago. So I did all of like the meditation for a while, and then I was like, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing. And actually I saw a psychic medium, and she was like, Jess, you have the gift. You should be able to do this. Like,
did she pick that up off you just from
reading for me? She
didn't know that you had a gift?
No.
She just picked it up. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, she's like, you should be able to do this. I don't know why you're here. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, she goes, yeah, you should be able to just turn it on and off like a light switch. And I'm like, well, show me. Like, how?
And did you learn from her?
No, I didn't. So she's the one that told me that. And then I've actually circled back, and I still talk to her to this day. But I ended up seeing another psychic medium it must have been the next festival, because it was the same. It was in like Frankston, I think, somewhere there. And I saw another lady, and I loved her, and she was like so dead on, and I really liked her approach. She's very direct with her communication. And I love that. I love no bullshit. Like, just tell me how it is. And then I ended up following her on Instagram, and then I saw that she was doing courses, and I was like, hey, maybe I should do like a psychic medium beginner course with her, because I like her, and just see what happens. And so I did that. and I loved it. And then I did her intermediate course and I loved it. And then I was like, you have to mentor me because I need to do this shit. And then she did for ages. And I did so many free readings, like anyone that would let me, anyone on the street. Oh my God.
And did you feel like you nailed it?
Yeah. I was getting so much better. And the thing is too, like if there's anyone out there who is trying to get into this and they just don't know what they're doing and like they're just feeling a bit lost, my advice is just keep doing it.
Right.
Practice. It's like practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
The more you do it, the more your symbology like builds up. The more that you're confident. It's all about confidence. Like I'll just tell you what I'm getting, and I'm scared that you're not gonna be like, yes, that's what it is. But I just tell you anyway because you're better off being wrong than you are of just not saying anything then wish you did.
Of course. So would you say you've been doing this for what, 4 years? Is that what you said?
I reckon.
How old are you?
I'm 33.
33. So you started when you're 29, basic maths there. What have you been doing leading up to when you were 29 when you thought I'm going to actually make something of this? Like what else have you been doing in your life?
Yeah, so I'm an executive assistant. So I do that by day. And then
an EA? Flashy.
I'm an EA. I know.
Okay.
I love it.
Yep.
I do love being an EA. And it's actually nice because I've got this that I'm doing on the side, my mediumship, and then I've got obviously the EA that I love too. So
because I would have thought this was your full-time role.
I know, and a lot of
because
people
I jumped
think
onto your
that.
website because I was gonna before we actually connected to catch up today. I was gonna jump on your site and do a reading. You know,
Yeah.
I'm all for it. And you booked out for a year.
I know.
So I figured this was your full-time job.
I know, it's hectic.
But it's not.
It's not, no. So, yes, I am so heavily booked and I feel so blessed for that. There's so many people that, all of it's word of mouth, by the way. Like, all my clients just start
That's how I
talking
found
about
you.
me
I only
and-
found you through, through Amelia, through social media and whatnot. But it's just, it's a referral thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing. I feel so blessed to be so supported, which is really nice.
So you're an EA. What about prior to that?
I've always kind of been an EA.
Have you?
I studied psychology, so I've got a degree in psych. It's weird that I've got like this like science-based sort of education.
And that wasn't on purpose. It was just because you had I
just loved
it.
Yeah, I was like, I think I want to be a psychologist. And then I was actually like, oh, fuck no, I don't want to be a psych because I don't think I could handle like other people's emotions and traumas and things that they went through. It's like the universe is like, fuck you, girl. Yeah. You're going to do it, but in a totally different way.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So
you're an EA working full-time.
Yeah.
How many hours a week are you doing it in that sort of role?
Well, I do like your normal like 40-hour weeks and I travel 2 hours a day all up, so I'm doing really long days, and this is why I'm so heavily booked because I can only do so many readings.
So what sort of line of work are you in with your EA role?
I work for a high-end fashion label.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is really amazing. I work for a guy who's pretty well known.
Yep.
So I'm really blessed in that space. And a lot of people are like, oh, when are you going to do this full time? And I'm just like, you know what? Right now, I'm just enjoying what I have. Like I've worked really hard to get to where I am. I've sifted through a lot of shit, a lot of shit companies, a lot of shit roles. And I finally landed something where I'm like, oh, this is amazing. So I'm kind of enjoying it.
So between that and then doing mediumship, like it's a full time.
Yeah.
Like when do you find the time to do readings?
At night. So I'll do like 3 during the week.
So your wind down time for most people is you're still doing something.
Yeah.
Do you find it relaxing or do you find it, does it take your energy?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It drains me a lot. It all depends though on the client. So a lot of psychic mediums are different. Some people want you to just say yes, no, maybe, and I'll just, pull from that. Whereas I like to have a conversation. Like, you're not going to give me anything. Like, I'm still going to give you specific validating information. But if we don't flow, spirit don't flow. And that's just how it is. So if I have a client that's really conversational and we kind of just let it all flow, the time just flies and we have an amazing time.
It's just like having a chat with someone.
Yeah.
If someone comes in and they're feeling really upset or their life, they're going through some troubled times and it's a really, it's a really sad client looking for some kind of guidance. Do you find that also takes your energy because you feel that you're in the same sort of headspace?
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it's a lot about boundaries too with my emotions. So when I'm reading for someone, I'm not in my own emotions. I'm not in my own thoughts. I'm sort of just like guess this vessel for spirit to sort of come out and do their thing.
Is that a choice, or are you thinking to always try and keep the wall up, or is it just naturally you're able to separate that?
I guess over time you learn how to. So a lot of people that have obviously had readings with me, you'll notice that when I first start to connect to you, I'll take a couple of minutes just to sort of blend. So I'll close my eyes and I take a really deep breath and let it out. And that's me removing all of my essence from my body.
Yeah.
And then I'm allowing spirit to basically blend with me. So it's almost like I ask them to step into my body. And that's why sometimes you'll see when I'm reading
so
for you.
Weird. Isn't it though?
It is so weird, but this is why I start doing hand gestures like someone that you like, this person, or I'll start talking like them, or like gesturing the way that they would, and people are like, oh my God, you sound like him right now. That are the things that he would say.
All right.
I freaked you the fuck out.
It's just fascinating. Like, can you see something? Have you got a visual?
Sometimes.
Or is it you can hear it or feel it?
It's
like, what do you see? When you see something, what do you see?
All right. So I won't see it's not like, I see dead people. Like, it's not like I'm walking around, I'm seeing figures. Like, it's nothing like that. So what I'll see is something that's significant. So if they're talking about their hair or whatever, I might actually see like a head, and I'll see like the hair that they're like showing me is significant. So it might be really curly or something.
Right.
Or if I start feeling really, they actually make me physically feel how they did before they passed. And that's hectic.
Wow.
So when they first step forward, I always get like how they passed. So sometimes my heart will actually be beating out of my chest. Like, I have heart palpitations. I might start sweating. They might show me like my hands and they feel really sore. Their mobility, they always reference my legs. So when I like feel pain in my legs, I feel like they couldn't move the way that they used to.
So you feel that?
My body physically feels the way that they did.
Have you ever put on like a heart rate monitor or have you ever monitored the way that your body is going? Like, that's nuts.
I know. And I always tend to get very flushed when I read, I think, because obviously
it's pretty scary.
It's full on, but you know what? There's actually a comfort in it. Like, because when I first close my eyes, I'm like, spirit, please show up. Please be here. And then as soon as I start feeling something physically in my body, I'm always like, oh, good. I'm like, okay, they're here. Yeah. I'm starting to feel like my heart, or they're giving me a bit of a headache or whatever. So I know what that means. It's my symbol. So there's a comfort in feeling the physical like pain, or It's very strange.
It's strange.
It is. I've never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
People would be freaked out. They're like, I'm going to have a heart attack.
It is freaky if you think about what you're saying.
I know.
It's odd.
How can they I don't understand it. Like, how can they make my heart beat like that? Like, how? I still don't get it.
Whew.
I just allow it.
Like, that's nuts. Have you ever had any readings in particular where that it went maybe to a heightened level for you with what you felt?
Yeah, there was one, and it was actually when I was practicing. So I was in sort of like a spirit circle. It was on Zoom actually, and I was reading for this girl, and all of a sudden my whole body was on fire. Like, I was so hot. I felt physically sick. I was like, I'm burning, like, from the inside out. And I couldn't even describe it. It was like really uncomfortable. And I said to her, there's got to be something here with heat. And she's like, I feel like it's my uncle and he passed in a fire. My whole body was like, I couldn't get rid of it. And I said to my teacher, how do I get this feeling to go? And she's like, you just have to reference, okay, I understand now what you're referencing. You can lessen that now.
Oh, wow.
So it's almost like you've got to talk to them and be like, okay, I'm acknowledging that that's what happened. Let's move on to the next piece of information. Whereas I was just like, what am I doing? Like, I just feel like I'm on fire and I can't get it to go.
That's nuts. Like, with like the spiritual stuff, like, you know, I remember growing up with my sister, we're doing like seances and stuff, and you hear stories of, yeah. And you hear stories of like bad shit happening. Like, when you're looking to bring in the spirit of someone that's passed, can it ever go bad? Can you ever like get like a bad spirit? Like, I don't, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, does it turn to shit? Like, start thrown across the room and like tapping out. This is Satan. This ain't.
No,
like,
see, not some people work a little bit more fear-based, and this is actually why I didn't go with the first lady that told me that I could turn it on and off like a light switch, because some of the stuff she did was a little bit fear-based.
Right.
How I would describe that, where it's kind of like, if you don't do this, you're going to get haunted. If you don't do that, you're going to have this happen to you. And I don't like that shit. Like, I come from a place where the only way that I channel is if someone's going to come through with the highest level of love and compassion.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in negativity. I'm not telling people they're going to die. I don't want any of that information. I'm just not playing.
Does some things come through though and you're like, I'm not going to mention that?
No. Never.
Because you've got it blocked out with where you want to take it.
Yeah, I always want my readings to have a positive spin. I always want to give comfort and advice and guidance based on a positive direction. Like, don't get me wrong, I will acknowledge things that have happened and traumas and things that have got you here, but I'm only looking for how we can improve your life and how we can make you feel better. I'm not looking to watch out for this or that. Like, we've all got things that are going to happen in our lives. Like, I don't feel the need to be predicting things like that. It's not my way.
And are most of your readings done face-to-face or is it over the phone?
Most online. So I'll do Zoom, Instagram, video chat, FaceTime, whatever works.
Do you feel like do you get a stronger feeling when you're face-to-face?
I actually don't feel that there's a difference.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is so interesting.
Because the other day when I jumped on your live, you guys making me laugh. Started with the mandarin peeling thing. And I hung around, and then you started doing someone just wrote a comment in your Q&A thing. And I thought, how do you pick up something from just some random Instagram handle saying, I don't remember what the question was, but it was just a basic 5-word question, I think. Yeah. Like, how do you get something from that versus sitting with someone and getting a physical energy? Like, how is it the same?
It's interesting. I find that obviously when I'm doing a one-on-one with someone and there's not, on a live, you have so much energy. Depending on how many people are coming in and out, and there's just everything going on, and Jade's chaos in the background, and I'm trying to channel, and it's just a fucking shit show. But it's the same kind of concept. It's like I read obviously what they've said, and then I allow spirit to come in. I'm like, step forward, let me tap into that, and let me just, it's almost like you have to let go of all of your thoughts and just say whatever comes into your head. And so that's how I give messages on lives, because I'm literally just whatever comes into my head, or if I all of a sudden someone's appearing and I'm like, okay, there's seriously a man here, like I'm just going to tap into that. I kind of have to let go of me in order to do this.
Yeah, okay, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So we spoke about like you can sometimes see things, not a human, maybe like a hair, or can you, what can you hear?
Yeah, so sometimes I'll hear like music, or a lot of the time, and this is what gets confusing, is that it's your voice saying things to you.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's not, so you hear it in your voice.
Yes. So that's how I sometimes, if other mediums are the same as me and they pick up on things the same way that I do, you get confused and you're like, is that me? Like, am I just thinking that? Or is that spirit? Like, it's not like I've got like a man's voice in my head, like talking to me. It's my voice. It's just said in a way that I wouldn't talk. Like, they say phrases and things that I'm like, I would never say that.
I was going to ask you that. So how does it correlate to you talking as if it was coming from them?
Yeah, it's like, it's not the way I would speak. Like, sometimes I will say sayings that like, I don't even know what I'm talking about. And the person's like, oh my God, like, yes, they always used to say that. And I'm like, okay. Like, I've never even heard of it.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, does this happen when you're just walking around the street?
Not often.
Like when we talk about the switch thing, like if you're walking down Westfield, do you ever walk past someone like, fuck, I've got to stop that person right now. I need to tell them something. Like, that was really big. Jade's laughing. I feel like there's something like, do you ever like, does anything ever happen where you're like, holy shit, that was so strong and I felt something or heard something that I kind of need to go and tell them. They might think I'm a Looney Tune, but do you ever get those sort of instances?
Not really. And I think it's because I have such set boundaries and rituals where I literally picture like opening a door, like opening and closing a door when I start connecting with spirit. So
you need to allow yourself for that to happen. It doesn't just slap you in the face.
Energy does. So I feel like if I'm walking past someone, I can feel if there's like a sadness or a darkness or something that's like following them around. But in terms of, picking up on shit all the time, it's not something that I want to happen.
So you can turn it off. I
can turn it off. Yeah. They can knock on the door sometimes when I'm not wanting to, but I try to keep it like
what do you feel when that happens? So you don't.
Sometimes it's when I'm talking to my friends, to be honest, or when they're talking to me. So if I'm having a D&M with someone and they start talking about themselves and their life and what's going on, sometimes I start it's actually I channel by scribbling on paper.
Right.
So sometimes I'm at work and I just tend to do it randomly anyway. So I was talking to someone the other day and I'm just randomly scribbling and they're talking to me and all of a sudden things start coming in and I was like, hang on, I'm not ready. But it was because I was scribbling that they're like, oh, you must be on. And I'm like, no.
But you were just chatting to your friend, like just having a chat.
Yes.
So it wasn't like you weren't planning on taking it anywhere from that.
No, but I actually said to her, I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, I've started to channel. I'm like, I'm starting to get things like come through and I don't even mean to. So there's a lot of correlation with me scribbling with them thinking that I'm ready to work.
That's nuts.
Oh my God.
Can you get a massage?
Oh my God. Yes.
Do you get massages often?
I do, but I tend to stick to my myotherapist now where it's like 9 out of 10 pain the whole time rather than a relaxation one because when I have those, oh my God, I went to Indota and I had this like relaxation package. I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited for this. As soon as she starts massaging me, I'm like, oh shit. All of a sudden and this is the first time that I'd seen an actual figure, to be honest. She was standing at the end of the bed, this woman. And I was like, no, I'm not doing this right now. But my mind was in that meditation state because I was so relaxed that they're like, oh, you're on. I'm like, no. Anyway, so I start getting all this information. I'm telling her, please go away. She's like, you have to tell my granddaughter I'm here. And I'm like, I'm not.
The girl that was giving you a massage?
The girl that was giving me the massage, it was her grandma standing at the end of the bed and she would not go. She's like, you have to tell her, I'm here. I'm like, oh. So after the massage, I was like, so, I'm like, do you like believe in spirits? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, so you might think I'm weird, but I'm actually a medium and I think your grandma's here. And she's telling me she's showing me like you in a backyard and there's like a swing set and there's this white fence. And she was telling me all these things. She told me about how she passed and what this girl's going through right now. And I started telling her all this stuff and she was bawling. And I was like, oh my God, I feel so bad. You're at work right now. I'm making you cry. I'm trying to relax. And this woman's just like so persistent.
Does that bother you? Does it annoy you that like you can't have some normality just doing stuff like getting a massage? Like, does it give you the shits a little bit or not? Because you got to accept that if that's what you can do, that it's going to just come into your life randomly.
Well, in that moment, I was a bit frustrated because I was like, damn it, I've just wasted it.
Far out.
But she obviously needed to hear it in the moment. So I'm kind of like, you know what I like to think too? I'm like serving the spiritual community and, the spirit world with what I do. So I'm kind of like, you know what, if I'm doing all of this and I'm like giving back and I'm giving people messages and all this stuff, I like to think they look after me too.
Yeah.
So I hope that, positive things happen for me because of what I'm doing.
100%. That's really cool. And she obviously, you just freaked her out that day.
She appreciated it, but I think she was a bit shocked. I could actually hear her because right at the end they like, you can go out and you can have a tea and everything. I thought, I'll just sit here for a little bit. And
she was just telling her staff about it.
She was telling everyone. And she was like, oh my God. And they're like, what the hell? I would have freaked out.
Yeah, that's nuts. Far out. What about, and this is a question I got in from people. I got this like 20 times.
Did you?
Is people like, are there fake mediums out there and fake psychics? Like, Like
Yes.
how this was my most commonly asked question. And how do you pick them? Are there any giveaways? Some people are like, how could someone be fake? Like if you literally are a fake psychic / medium, how ballsy to actually sit there and take money from someone and think that you can give them. Like,
I know.
Where are there any giveaways? Like, it's probably hard for you to talk about because you don't.
I don't want to trash the community.
No, you don't want to trash the community, but you don't sit in front of them either. Like,
No.
how do people work out who are the right people to go to and that sort of thing?
Look, for me, I do things very naturally. So I don't use cards. I have no backup. It is just me and whatever I'm getting.
The cards thing.
Right?
Is that a thing?
Yeah, so a lot of psychic mediums use tarot cards or oracle cards or whatever to sort of help tap into spirit. And I wasn't taught like that. So I don't use them because this is going to sound so bad. I don't give a fuck. To me, it feels like it's like you're relying on them.
Right.
Right? So you're always going to pick a card, aren't you?
There's always going to be a card.
There's always going to be a card. There's always going to be a message from the card. Whereas with me, I'm sitting here. And so I'm like, I have nothing. I have nothing but what I'm picking up on. And it makes me work so much harder to get the information and go so much deeper, I feel. Right? So for me, I've come across a lot of fake psychic mediums.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of them, I'm not saying all, because some psychic mediums may just use them as a tool. Don't get me wrong. But most of the fakes will use cards.
Right.
In my opinion.
Okay.
And I've seen a lot of them and it makes me sick. Like they say the same shit to everyone.
Do you still see them? Do you still get one now and then or not?
Yes, every
Can
now
you
and
get
then.
information from another psychic medium that you can't get yourself?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you've got a really good one, you can get other information.
Yeah, I still see my mentor. Yeah. I go to her for readings.
So from a coaching point of view, but also for a reading.
Yeah, I'll do both. But you know what? Since I've been connecting more with spirit for other people, I don't feel the pull anymore to do readings for myself, which is so strange because I'm not really getting information for me when I'm reading for other people, but it's sort of scratching the itch. So I don't really do it that often.
Could you train someone? If I said to you right now that I want to be a psychic medium, am I trainable? Can you train that or not? Or you either got it or you don't.
Look, I think everyone has intuition. Everyone has that gut feel. Everyone has the ability to be able to connect to their loved ones in some way. Like we all get signs and symbols from people who have passed. Like, we might see the bird that we always see or whatever. And that's you recognizing and tapping into spirit. So I guess you just got to learn how to, raise your vibration and to blend your energy and connect. It's basically, it felt like school to me when I was learning this. I was like, okay, what do I do? Like I sit there and then they're like, you have to sort of, actually I said this the other day on my Instagram. The way that I started was literally by just sitting there randomly throughout the day and just closing my eyes and then just allowing my thoughts to just go. And I'm like, what am I hearing right now? Like, am I hearing kids? Am I hearing like a bell? Am I hearing whatever? What am I actually feeling right now? Am I feeling happy? Am I feeling calm? It's like almost getting in tune with your surroundings. That's how you start.
But anyone can do that anyway, can't they? Isn't
Yes.
That's a good moment just to sit back and smell the roses, so to speak.
Yeah, that's sort of how you start to remove your own thoughts. And that's why people say meditating is really good because you're trying to stay focused on something that's not like your day-to-day chaotic mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about it may be connected, but like manifestation and visualization. Is there a connection there where you can really deeply visualize what it is you're trying to achieve, whether it be a success or whatever that is to your goals and all that sort of thing? Is there a connection in that if you really fall into that really deeply? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. I love doing that.
Is it a connection?
Yeah. I love manifestation. I love visualizing things. So
because I've done that a lot in the past.
Have you?
Yeah. And I find that I'm actually able to go a little bit deeper and like really fall into it. And it may be a connected thing, but I can really really small details, things I can pick up on that haven't happened yet.
I love that.
Yeah. Like
I'm
like
really a little premonition.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I really visualize certain things that I'm trying to do
Yeah.
in such detail that if someone, I'd sound nuts if I told someone. Like really small
Not
things.
to me.
Yeah. Like is that it? There's a connection there, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love to do it. I manifest all the time. And I also, like you're saying, you kind of embody what you want to happen. And I feel like that accelerates your manifestation too. So it's all very good to be like, you know, writing down the things that you want to happen and hoping that, you know, comes to fruition. But there's another thing about you also have a responsibility to plant the seeds as well. So a lot of people sit back, they're like, oh, cool, I'll just write all this shit and then pray to God that my life changes. It's like, no, that's sort of you becoming clear about what you want, which helps spirit to help you open doors to these opportunities for you. But you've got to bloody walk down there. Like you've still got a responsibility to show up for yourself. And so I find the more that I embody what I want, so I'll be like, you know, let's just say I want this job. So I go in my head, I'm going to get the call. It's happening. You know, I'm going to get the call. I can't wait till I'm in the job and then I'm going to be doing this and this. And it's almost like you convince yourself that it's already there. And I find that works a charm.
Yeah, 100%. What about dreams? We all have really weird dreams and things happen and they're really vivid. This was something I just randomly thought that I was thinking about telling you the other day. This is really random.
Yeah.
I follow the golf. I'm really into golf, right?
Yeah.
And this dude in the States, he was just a club professional. He somehow got an invitation to play in a PGA Tour event, right? And he just had the 4 days of his life. He played the best golf ever. And the night before I went to bed before day 4, I'm like, this guy's killing it. His Instagram following went from 8,000 to 250,000 within 2 days. Anyway, he's playing out of his skin. And I'm laying in bed going, imagine if he got a hole in one. Imagine if he got a hole in one at this event on his home course. And I woke up in the morning and all of the news was Michael Block gets a hole in one. And I couldn't explain this to Emily enough because I didn't tell her that's what I was thinking. I'm like,
Oh my God.
I'm like, I thought about is that something?
I reckon that's something. That's so cool.
But that's a really specific thing.
It
I'm
is
like,
so specific.
What if imagine if Michael Block gets a hole in one leading into day 4 and he's just going to be the man for 4 days. And he like, no one gets a hole in one really anyway. Anyway, it was just a thing. It blew my mind for days. I couldn't stop talking about it. And I'm like, I wonder if that's a thing. I wonder if I've got a psychic ability.
That's cool. You probably did. You probably were tapping in at the time to like a potential.
But what about other
amazing.
dreams? Like what are dreams connected? Like some people talk about how this really crazy vivid dream and it's all intertwined, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so a lot of the time people be like, I had, you know, this dream about, you know, someone who's passed or whatever. And I'm like, it's not actually like a dream. It's not like your imagination. So when you actually see someone who's passed away and you see them like we would be talking right now, that to me is a visitation. Like they have come to talk to you in that moment. And I love that shit. Like it is so amazing. And to be honest, I don't often dream of spirit. I don't really have those really active dreams, probably because they spend fucking all day with me. But the only time that I ever have is when Jade's dad has come to me a couple of times. And it's been after someone has like passed. So he came to me and he showed me Jade's sister's dog who had just passed. And he showed me that he was taking the dog and like walking off with it. And then obviously I rang Tegan. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, you know, he's got Alvin.
Yeah.
And she was beside herself.
Yeah.
But actually something that was really crazy that happened was our dog passed away in December. And she was sick for a long time. She had kidney disease. And about a week before she had passed, I was actually meditating to read for someone and I saw her dad. And I was like, why are you here? Like, I'm like prepping for someone. Like, go away.
When you say why are you here, is it like an internal question?
Yes.
Do you get an answer?
Yeah. Well, he was standing, and this is like, it was weird. I saw his face and I'm like, why are you here? Like, this is a weird time for you to show up. Like, I'm not channeling you. And all of a sudden I saw, like, this is very visual. I saw my dog come from behind me and walk towards him. And then I saw him go, because he used to call her big girl. So he goes, oh, hello, big girl. He's like, come on now. And then he like walked off with her. And then I saw Alvin, Tegan's dog as well. And they were walking off into the distance. And I thought, fuck you. I'm like, do not take my dog. I'm like, she is not dying. You are not taking my dog. Like, stuff this.
Yeah.
And then after the reading, I was like, Jade, I just saw something, but I don't want to tell you. And she's like, no, tell me. And I'm like, I think Apron's going to die. I think he's showing me that she's going to be all right and he's going to take her. And then she went downhill over that week and then she'd passed away. And I was like, I've never, ever had like a warning so vivid.
Yeah, it was early on.
Yeah. How weird is that? He's just like, it's happening. But I want you to know that when she does go that I'm going to be there and this is what it's going to look like. And so I just kept that image in my head. I'm like, she's going to be fine. This is what's happening right now. Like he tried to show me that everything's going to be okay.
Did it allow you to deal with the passing a lot easier? Did
I think
it feel
so.
comfort?
Yeah, I did because I was like, at least I know that she's going with him. So there was comfort and there was also that moment of fuck you. So it was nice.
What about this is a deep question. You a religious person?
Not really.
I would have thought this role would have allowed you to work out whether you go down a religious path or you don't.
Yeah.
Like I have to admit, like I'm not a religious guy. I feel like maybe there's something there, and sometimes I wonder whether it's worth exploring a little bit more. But
yeah,
does it allow you to think about going down that path a little bit? Would you find that there's a little bit more clarity in that, given what you can do?
You know what? To me, all I know is what I sense and feel. So I obviously know that when we pass, it's not over. You know, there is another. I like to think
this
of it
is
as
so
like
leading into my next question. I'm so scared of dying.
Are you?
I can't. Actually, you know what?
I heard that
Yeah,
on your
I did
podcast.
because Amelia and I did the 10 questions, and I don't think I'm scared of dying. I just can't. I can't work out how there can be nothing. How can there be nothing?
There's not nothing.
This is where I need you.
I know.
Like, how can there be nothing? Like, how can I just be? How can I not live? How can I not be living?
No, there's
It's
definitely
weird.
life after death.
Yeah,
I can tell you that. There is no freaking
is
way.
heaven and hell real?
No, I don't think so.
You reckon there's a difference?
No, I feel like that it's almost like a parallel kind of universe to us is what I see. But there's definitely something because, but you know what? A lot of people go, oh, you know, when you pass over, you're going to be like hanging out with like celebrities and all this shit. Like, why can't I channel like random celebs? And I feel like it's sort of, you can only really channel the people that are connected to you in some way. Yeah. Is what I feel, or the person in some way. Yeah. So I don't really know how it works over there, if there's like little areas or something. It's really fascinating. But there's definitely something after this. Yeah. And I'm not sure about God and all of that stuff. Like I can definitely tell you that I feel like angel kind of energy. So I feel like, you know, angels are real and maybe they're humans that have leveled up in some way and have become, you know, higher level humans or something. I don't know, higher souls. Yeah. But in terms of like, I feel like religion can be amazing for people because it gives them something to hang on to. It gives them something to give them faith. Like life's fucking hard. It's shit. So if you've got something that you can be like, I hope that this person's looking after me, or I hope that I'm being protected in some way. Like that's beautiful. But I'm just not sure about the who's, like who the people are believing in, if that's a real thing. I just know that we've got loved ones over there that are looking after us. Yeah. So it's all very fascinating.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. I think about it too often. It's just odd. When you do a reading with someone, what do people come into you with like they really want to know things, or do people just come in, everything's going okay? What about people that are neutral and they come in like, my life's fine, I'm not upset? Can you still tap into different energy even if people are feeling good? Yeah. Or do most people come into you feeling like shit? They want an answer. They want to know something. Is that the more common one?
Usually. Yeah. It's usually there's a purpose. Is it
easier for you to pick off that than someone coming in saying, hey, I'm fucking kicking ass. Look, here I am. Like, is it just as easy for you with someone that's feeling amazing about everything?
It's very different vibes.
Yeah.
So when you've got someone that's coming in very open-minded and they're, like you said, they're on like a good path at the moment, those readings tend to be a little bit more lighthearted. So you'll still have spirit step forward. They'll still validate things. They might talk about what's going to happen in the future in the next couple of weeks or months or whatever. So it's not necessarily easier or harder. It's just that sometimes, and this can happen too when someone has just had someone who's passed really recently and they're like, I want to do a reading.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, are you sure you don't want to wait a little bit longer?
Oh, really? Why's that?
Because some people can be in such a deep state of grief that they're not ready to smile about it. They're not willing to like laugh about the funny things that spirit want to bring forward.
Yeah.
Like, so I actually read for someone and I think their friend had passed like days earlier. Like it was really sudden. And this was actually, it wasn't that we'd planned it that way. It just so happened that the reading was timed that way. Anyway, so I was channeling her friend and her friend was like wanting to laugh. She was like bringing up all these funny things and I was in hysterics and this chick was just giving me nothing. And she was just hysterically crying the whole time. And I was like, fuck. I'm like, and I recorded it actually so she could listen to it later and maybe laugh about it then. But it was just like she just couldn't, there was no functioning. She couldn't deal with it at the time. So sometimes I like to say maybe if you're still in that really deep, sudden shock phase, that maybe wait a couple weeks or maybe a month or something just so that you can see the like a spirit they don't want to make you cry.
They don't?
They don't. All the time I get spirit going, oh shit, we've made her cry. I literally hear that in my head and they're like, quick, make it funny.
Oh, really? That's nuts.
Yeah.
So you don't get any spirits come forward and go, tell him he's a dickhead?
No. If anything, they're like, tell them I'm a dickhead.
Really?
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, okay. Who was, I've just saw another question here. Who was the first person you told that I think I've got something that is not normal? Do you remember telling maybe your family or anyone and were they looking at you going, you're off your head?
No, my family weren't.
Well, did they know they pick up on something?
Well, they think that they're better than me. If anything, they're like, oh, you don't know what we are. You know, we've got this connection and you're just trying to figure it out. And even to this day, like they don't really support me in this because they think I got it from them and they're always better than me and it's all just a thing. But no, I don't. Was it you? Did I tell you, Jade? Maybe. It might have been Jade. And she's like, you're fucking whacked, man.
How long have you been together?
18 years.
Wow.
Yeah, a long time.
Hang on, whoa. 18 years and you're 33. Like, wow, long time.
We were in school. It was like 15.
You went to school together?
Yeah.
Far out.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, that's a long time.
I know. So I probably told you. And it was good though because Jade was very skeptical. She's like, there's nothing, right? There's nothing going on. And so when I was practicing with Jade because I was like, I have to like do this with someone who is not open so that if I ever come across that, I know how to navigate things. And I ended up channeling for her and her nonina, her grandma came through. And I gave Jade a tour of her nonina's house that I had never seen. I was like, you walk in like this and to this door, there's this and there's this glass cabinet and I'm seeing this like yellow thing like in the kitchen. It's really round and I don't know what this is. And Jade ended up showing me photos. They had a big yellow counter that they all used to sit at. Yeah. And she was like, oh shit. I'm like, this is so real. Yeah. Like, how the hell would I have known any of that? She's freaked out.
That's nuts.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Far out.
That was one of my
first. Do you always get those sort of moments? Like, do randomly things come up where you just say to Jade, I've picked up on something from years ago and you're just, do you still get blown away by some of the stuff that comes forward or?
You don't really read me anymore.
No, I don't read you often.
But nothing comes out of the blue.
The weird stuff was when your sister haunted us.
Oh yeah, my sister did haunt us.
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh about that.
That was
I laugh all the time.
fucked. That was really fucked. So my sister passed away a few years ago and she was 2 years younger than me and we were always kind of a little bit, you know, on and off with our relationship.
Yeah.
But when she passed, like her and I were all good.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like when she did, eventually passed, like maybe a week later, all this weird shit started happening to our house, and to Jade, really, more than me.
Right.
So Jade got really like in her head, like really like almost depressed. Like, I feel like shit, all this stuff keeps going wrong. She'd hurt herself all the time. She'd keep hitting her head. She'd like slip on things. And then one night she woke me up and like she was in pain. She was like, oh, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I'm like, don't wake me up. That's not going to end well for you. And she goes, oh my God, your sister just like threw this ball on me. And I'm like, what are you talking about, my sister? And she's like, no, seriously. And my exercise ball, like, you know those ones that you like roll on, the really hard ones?
Yeah.
One of those was in our bed. And like Jade had like a bruised like face. So she said she saw my sister, like her ghost, stand above her and drop the ball on her face physically. And the ball is usually in my walk-in robe. And neither of us had it out. And then I was like, Jade, this can't be happening. And so then a few nights later, it was me who actually woke up because I heard this like, I sleep on my side, and I heard this like next to my face. And I was like,
that was a really creepy sound.
that's actually what I heard. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And I felt a breeze and I thought, this is weird. And then I saw the sensor light go outside.
Yeah.
And I was like, who the fuck's like in our yard? It's like really early in the morning. So I went to like go out, like to have a look outside. And when I walked towards the front door was wide open. And we have like 3 deadlocks. I don't know how the fuck this front door got open. And I was like, what the hell? And it was freezing. And so then I shut the door and then I ran back to bed because I was fucking freaked out. And then I was looking through the window because I was like, the sensor light just keeps like going on and off and no one's there. And then all of a sudden my car unlocks itself and then locks again. And it happens multiple times. And I'm nowhere near the keys.
That's crook.
I'm like, this is fucking weird. And then I was like, oh my God, Jade, I think you're right. I think she's haunting me.
That's crook.
I know. And then the weirdest thing is the next day my friend came over and we were telling her all about it. And I was like, the door was open. It was fucking hectic. And she's like, oh my God, that's so weird. And I'm like, in my car. And anyway, so she went to leave and her car wouldn't start in our driveway. And I'm like, this is fucked. And then she texts me the next day and she goes, Jess, last night my door was open. And I don't know how it flew open during the night. Like, it's never done that. And I'm like, fuck, she's gone home with you.
See, there is bad spooky shit.
There is, but you need to know how to protect yourself from it.
Shit.
I know, but you know what? My sister is pretty fucked and she's obviously targeting us. So I had to do a lot of
Is that all that stopped?
All of that stopped now because I've basically banished her from our house.
How do you do that?
I tried everything. And you know what? People will tell you all different things. I tried salt on all the windows, crystals on all the windows, sage, palo santo, incense, you name it, I bloody tried it. And it was until I spoke to another medium and she's like, you have to create a portal in your home. I was like, what fucking portal? And she goes, do a tour of your house right now and I'll tell you where to do the portal. So I like was filming my house like a weirdo. And she goes, the portal to your house is like right near your fireplace, like on the bricks. I'm like, okay. So she's like, what you've got to do is like picture that there's this like door there, right? And so every time you channel, you open up this door and you imagine like a green light. And then when you're closing the spirit door, you imagine a red light of like, stop, nothing's coming in here. But what I had to do to set it up was I had to open the door and then I had to say a lot of things to remove her spirit from my portal and from my house. And I had to ask my granddad, who has passed, to be the gatekeeper to my portal. So every time I read, I call him in, and every single time I fucking read, like I swear to God, every time I'm like, my sister Beck's spirit is not welcome in my home.
You have to say it. Do you say it out loud or in your head?
In my head, every single time I read, she's not welcome, remove her. It's like just a thing now, every single time I do it. Because I'm like, I'm not playing. Like, we cannot have you coming in. Like, I think actually she electrocuted Jade. Like, when she was, like, playing with the stovetop. Like, it was all, like, sparking and shit. And, like, it's just fucked up shit.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's getting a bit scary.
I know. So
I
if
just saw
anyone
something
needs
move
to know,
over there.
oh, my God, she's here.
That's so funny.
I know.
as we start to come towards a close, what are we, about 45 minutes, I think? Ali, I'm so interested, like, during our chat, have you seen anything? Have you heard anything? Like, do you pick up on things since we've spoken?
You know what's interesting? I think because it's been so much about me. No. But when you're asking me this right now, I'm like starting to go, oh, should I start channeling? So then my mind starts like going around you and I'm like,
is it putting you on the spot? Like what? You might not even pick anything up.
Turn it on.
Turn it on.
That's like a joke we have. I probably could turn it on if I just have a little sec.
Let me just put you on the spot and see.
I actually feel like that there actually might be a woman around you, because that's the first thing I thought of when you were asking me that question. It's funny, I have to go into like my own. All right, so there's definitely a woman around you. Actually, the first thing that she's referencing, oh, here's Jade. She's bringing my little pen and paper. That might help me.
On the spot.
On the spot channeling. We did not plan this. All right. All right. There's definitely a woman around you, and the first thing that she's referencing to me is her head. So when I get this, I feel as though that she may have passed of like a dementia and Alzheimer's, or she's very foggy towards the end of her life, because I feel like I can't think straight, and it's not like me to be like this. So I feel like that she would normally have been quite thoughtful and like sharp and spot on. So this is odd that I feel like that she's starting to, her mind's starting to not be quite right. She never wants you to feel like that you're alone. She's talking to me about the fact that I feel as though that there's been a significant amount of time that I feel like she feels like she's missed out on your life and the milestones that have happened with you. So I feel like that she may have missed out on like your kids being born or other things that would be quite significant to you. And she's also showing me that she wants to be a constant, stable person within your life. And she always wants to make you smile. She's very sweet, actually. Do you know a woman that may have passed in this way?
Trying to keep a lid on it.
Oh, I know. Isn't it funny though? Even before I channeled, she's like, I'm here. Okay. Yeah, she just keeps referencing, I don't want you to ever feel like I've left you, because she's like, I promised you that I wouldn't. And she goes, and then, you know, things happen and life's shit. And sometimes we have to go, and it's not at a good time, and it was not at a good time for you. So I feel as though that I feel like you've really missed her presence, particularly with, like I said, the birth of your kids, and you just becoming this more confident version of yourself. She's really she's showing me like a significant shift or change in the way that you operate. So I feel like you're showing up differently now. So you're ridding a lot of the shit that's in your life. You're not really entertaining things anymore that don't feel authentic to you. And she's really proud of your ability to be able to let things go. Is this all making sense to you? Okay.
Like when you give me that information, like is it good for me to talk about who that is and names? Does it help you?
Yeah, you can tell me who it is.
So definitely with Alzheimer's, that was my mum's mum. She passed away.
Okay.
With really bad Alzheimer's, and she passed away as my daughter was really young.
Oh.
Really, I think she was 6 or 7 months, but she never met Will.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it was really early on.
Oh.
There's a couple of photos together with Zali, my daughter, and my nan, Thelma, her name is.
She just keeps referencing that she has not missed a minute That's what she's saying. But that would be her personality to be like, I am always here.
And
like,
she's the sweetest person in the world.
And like I said, like super thoughtful too. Like, and she's very much pen to paper is what she's showing me. So I feel as though that she would have little handwritten lists, and like her little calendar would be all like handwritten. And then she's showing me here too that you may even have cards or something with her handwriting on them that you still have. So if you haven't come across this, I feel like that you may do. Or someone's got something here that's got her writing on it. She keeps referencing, she has very distinctive handwriting is what she's making me feel. I'm just going to see what message she has for you and why she's shown up for you today. I just heard, because of course I was going to show up. That's what she said. But I want something more specific. It's so interesting. She keeps showing me your kids. She's so focused on your children. Oh my God. I feel like she would have been like that in life though. Like she would have been like, oh, hi, how are you? And then she'd be straight to the kids. Is what she's showing me. I feel like your son is she really loves his personality. And you know what? She likes to think that she kind of rubbed off on him a little bit before he came here.
Yeah,
so
right.
I feel like that there's going to be things that he will say or do that in somewhat embody her. I feel like even though obviously we were talking before that, you know, he's chaos energy, your son, but he's actually got this real sweetness to him. And he's going to be super thoughtful and someone that I feel like people are just going to love to be around. And I feel as though that's kind of her.
Yeah.
So
do you know what threw me off at the start was like, because I was always planning on asking that question, and I've spoken to like a few mediums in the past, and they always reference my dad's dad, and coming into this today, I'm like, imagine if something come up with mum's mum and she mentioned something about Alzheimer's, it's going to lose my mind. And that was the first thing. That's why I was like,
see, look at you, premonition.
Yeah, premonition.
I love that. Well, yeah, I feel as though that of course she's around. She showed up so strongly for you straight away, like validating all that information. So yeah, she just wants you to know that she's here.
That's amazing.
She loves what you're doing.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. Thank you.
No, of course. It's fine.
Oh, that's great. But yeah, such a fascinating life that you live, I reckon. Like, it's just, I don't know, how often you get to talk to a psychic medium.
Yeah.
It's just interesting day-to-day living.
I know. It's wild.
Yeah. I mean, that just made me feel heavy, but not in a bad way, just like.
No, it's a lot too.
It's a
lot. When you read for people, I feel like you process things like weeks after too. Like you're like, oh, that makes sense now. Or, oh, I remember Jess said that. Like it's not like it's almost like you've been hit with like love and like excitement and like, you know, sadness all in one hit. It's, you're probably tired afterwards.
Yeah, it
like
feels
me.
heavy. Yeah, I'm ready for a nap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a snippet.
Yeah, I know. I might have to book in a longer sesh.
Yes.
But I got to wait a year.
I might squeeze you in.
All right, good. Well, we'll wrap it up. Thank you. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
learning all about your life, and
Yeah.
so fascinating. Looking forward to sharing it.
I love
But
that.
to anyone that's watching this that wants a reading, she's your girl.
Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah. And you see yourself doing this for a long time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is definitely my calling.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. That was actually one thing I was going to ask you quickly was if you could turn it off, would you turn it off, or would you just, it's part of
No
your
way in
life?
hell.
Yeah.
No. I feel like I've come so far, and it really, it puts me in a better mood just in life. I feel like when you're like connecting on that vibration all the time, you kind of just feel lighter.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Yeah. So if people want to find you, what's your Instagram page? We'll put it up on the video as well. What's your Instagram?
It's at Jessica Lynne Mediumship.
At Jessica Lynne Mediumship. And is that the best way for them to contact you and book, or is it diverts you to a website?
Yeah. You can go to my website from there, or you can just go to it direct. So that's www.jessicalynnemediumship.com.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Get it.
Cool.
Good luck. Thank you.